I'm in Budleigh Salterton in South Devon and I want to paint this scene here, but the challenges I've got are the changing lighting conditions. As you can see, there's a fair bit of cloud coming over. The sun is popping in and out like a yo-yo. Also trying to, in watercolor, trying to paint those pebbles. Looks like a real nightmare. I'm used to doing sand and harbour scenes at low tide, but I think that's a good scene with the boats leading the eye into the composition, the distant headland there, that warm rock, little bits of dark shadow just moving over it now. So I'm going to have to work pretty fast and hopefully I won't be bothered by too many onlookers. Let's see how we get on. Right, first thing then, the drawing. Always the most difficult thing for me, knowing where to start. But another challenge, I just thought it as I've started the painting, the sunlight. Ideally, I don't like this. This is the sun blaring against this white paper. It's going to be difficult to see values when I put them down on the paper, and the paint is going to dry quite quickly as well, so I need to work quite quick. First decision is where to put the horizon in a scene like this. So that waterline, for example, pretty much is going to be the horizon, and not the middle. I'll just start above that halfway line, and then the bay comes around, Pebble Beach, around like that. Top of the cliffs, low in the distance, then comes up in a few rising peaks, a little bit of a dip there, base of the cliffs, something like that, a few beach huts over there, and then boats. Well, let's start with the main boat at the back here. And sun coming from the left. It's boat number one. Another one behind it. It's got a funny sort of a tarpaulin cover, and a few more boats leading up into the distance. There's the shoreline down there, shadows going across. We'll have a person, a figure coming down the beach, maybe in there, walking up or down, not so sure at the moment. Just have the one figure, maybe with a little dog. You see the light's gone in now. We'll have a cloudy sky, shadows, and then those nasty pebbles. There's a few lines going up the beach as well. Right, brush. Oh, sorry, I should say paper I'm using, Saunders Woodford, cotton paper, 15 inches by 14 inches. It's £140 cold press, so medium roughness. And I am, and it's just started to rain. Got all sorts. This is the joys of painting in the UK in late September. Get in the sky first on this Saunders paper. So always use good quality paper like Saunders. The good thing about Saunders, the cotton paper, is it's going to stay drier longer. So now the sun's gone out, it will take a fair bit of time to dry. but with a bit of wind, as it's coming up behind me, bit of wind behind me, and if the sun comes out, it will dry quicker. Paints I've got: Jackman's Watercolor, Jackman's Art Materials Watercolor paints, handmade watercolor paints, professional artist grade, I should say. Starting off with a squirrel mop brush and just wet the top portion of the sky, and then get in a little bit of warmth with the yellow ochre, and now some darker, something dirty off my palette, something darker there. If I haven't got enough, ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber would be good as well. So few clouds dotted around, and now go a little bit lighter towards the horizon, and then a little bit of sky, cobalt blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, and just here and there give the hint of a little bit of a blue sky. Not too fussy. Bit of an undercolour coat for the buildings on the far side. So painted down to the top of the cliff, and now the water. Well, it looks pretty grey at the moment, but when the sun comes out, so it's going to go a little bit bluer. Well, let's keep with that theme. Bit of cobalt green, bit of burnt sienna, cobalt green, burnt sienna, and just add that in very gently. Do a little bit of a controlled wash going down the paper. Gradually coming to the shoreline. There we go. And then just leave it. Right, next, the beach. I will start off with, at the distance it's quite light, gradually coming a little bit darker towards us. I will use that one. I use a number 12 round. So number 12 round, and start with something fairly light. Excuse the pneumatic drill if it's coming up on the audio. That's what happens when you're doing plein air. You can't, and there's a road near me as well, you can't always control the sound around you. Right, so this beach gradually coming a little bit darker as we come towards us, a bit browner. Let's have some cools in there. Now pebbles, which I rarely do, but just now stabbing the paper with this alternate blues and browns and different values. I'll leave little light patches here and there. Rather laborious to wash, but just needs to take a bit of time doing this. These marks will get a bit bigger towards the foreground. Too dark there. So quite random, haphazard marks just to create the form of those pebbles and leave some lighter areas in here. Bit grayer on the shoreline. So side of the brush, try and pick up on those more distant pebbles. Bit of soft water. Okay, while that is still quite damp, I'll just mop up some of these beads. I'll go in with the darker, a little bit of darkness between the pebbles where the shadows are falling. So something dark, ultramarine blue, neutral tint, and then just pick up on some of the gaps between these pebbles. Just a light touch with a brush with a good point to it. This is a Princeton long round. Got a really good point to it, so I can be quite precise with the shape of my brush marks. Not so dark in the distance. Trying to get the form of these flat pebbles, cobbles. And the sun's come out again. This is where it's going to start drying a lot more quickly. Use the finger there. I think it's gone a bit too hard with the lines. Always go up to the edge of the paper, go over the edge. It's rather like when you paint a brick wall. You don't paint every single brick, but you just select a few little strategic bricks to paint, and then you get the impression of that wall as a whole. Good, right, now this should be dry. Cliffs, which are quite dark in the distance, so a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and then maybe a tiny bit of red. And then I need to get the waterline horizontal. And then become redder, warmer as we come towards us. I've gone for a little bit of cadmium orange in the mix, light red. At the top of the cliffs there's a bit of greenery up there. Come down, bottom of the cliffs. Usually come down, top of the beach huts. Okay. Bit of greenery up there. On the tops, scrub or trees or something, so a bit of spring green, bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of ultramarine blue as well. And then could go a little bit darker. Just a bit of scrub coming down the hill, and then find that house that's up there, and the woods going over to the right. Everything's drying incredibly fast now. come back to the houses in a minute, get a bit more detail into those houses. Right, and there's an ominous dark cloud above me. Fingers crossed it won't rain. And now for shadows. And boats. So start off with this nearby boat, and it's a bit lighter. I'm going to make it a bit darker than the surrounding pebbles. Come down to the bottom of the boat. And then some shadow under that. Something dark, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson. Just make sure that paint goes back. There's too much of a bead forming there, so I've just tilted the board a bit. Right. Now, this dark shadow here has got to indicate the pebbles as well. So we're just following that line. And then take the shadow up beach. Again, just a few little dots there just to indicate that pebbly surface. Right, back to next boat along. Let's have this one slightly different. Blue. And then use my shadow brush up the beach. Next one. Let's do a few together. And shadow. There we are. Perhaps a little bit more definition to some of these pebbles. Okay, well, the sun's come out a bit more now on the far side, so perhaps just a few more little lines like that, just to indicate the cracks in the rocks up there. Houses, just painting a few of these rooftops. And maybe just a few little windows there, here and there. Not all of them, of course. And right, figure next. Let's have this figure coming towards us. And dog. Looking like a poodle, I think. Near there. There you go. Shadow of that figure. Again, just trying to create the impression of the pebbles. Now, there are some darker shapes. There's boats and all sorts going on. Over there. But there's also these little beach huts at the end of the beach. Now, next. next. Little bits and pieces in these boats, I think. Maybe a mast or something just there. That could be a flag. A little bit of a line for that boat. Top of the boat always makes it look a little bit more realistic. Right, some rigging. A rigger brush. A rigger brush. I think there must be an army firing range further down the coast. So there's bits of rope going across the beach and up the beach. And then the main one. Maybe another one down here. There's one just in the front of me. And it sort of disappears behind little pebbles here and there. Right, we're nearly there. I just need to connect something up there. Distant people, distant figures. And then a few lines for this boat. Few more onto there, but it just needs a few little poles like that, posts just to connect the foreground, the middle ground with the background. Well, I got this rigger brush. Just add a few more little bits of, can't leave these pebbles alone. Maybe a lead for the dog. landing the paint. Okay. Just see a few more little darker lines up there just to create some more of the form of what's going on. Not too much. A little bit of detail to the shoreline. I think we're done. I'm quite happy with that. Budleigh Salterton, changing weather conditions, trying to create the definition of these pebbles, and I still can't resist adding in a bit more detail there. Figure, dog, distant houses. Yeah, thanks for watching. Catch up with you in the next video.